And on a personal note, I have ADHD and so does my daughter. And so the executive functioning that AI allows us to do, like just getting started. A lot of times executive functioning, it's just a matter of get started. And it gives you a prompt or it gives you that thing to start working from. So that's super helpful too for those kiddos who find themselves in situations like that where I just need to get something on the paper and then I can go from there.
Yeah, never flush a goldfish down the toilet because of that.
Yeah, I got you there. Wait, what? Oh, hey, everybody, welcome back. This is another exciting episode of the Undisrupted podcast brought to you by Goldfish Adam. Adam, a question I was wondering about recently, I was talking to some school leaders about this, and they were talking about technology services. They're hiring a new person that was going to go in their department, and they're like, well, we want to make sure they really have like all these tech skills. They really know how to problem solve and do all these things. And I started thinking, what are the most important traits of people that should be in the tech services department? Because a lot of our listeners, of course, come from that department or leaders in those departments. So what do you think the most important skill is for someone in tech services?
You know what? I'm not necessarily a big fan of saying like knowledge and stuff, because as we all know, you can Google I'm a preempted strike here and say you could use an AI tool to find the answer there. So I'm going to go with the human component, really that the communication piece. Because sometimes people think that a tech director or people in tech services, I'm not going to say, let's say the end user, the person who's helping to do repair and stuff, they have a preconceived notion of what that kind of person is or their traits or whatever the case may be. Even when we look at like our network people, they think of these individuals who don't like people who just give them screens all day and stick them in a room and they're happy, which may be true for some of them because I've had some of them. But to me, I still think it's that communication piece, because when there's an issue, you need to be able to kind of communicate to the end user what happened. So if you had to repair their device, communicate, what they could have done differently or what they need to do moving forward, or if anything goes wrong, whether that's in verbal communication or typing it out. Because I know one thing I used to really force my team to do my first year and then became second nature was to use a Post-it note. I said, because some of them used to love running in the room when the teacher wasn't in there, fixing their smart board and leaving kind of just like a thief in the night, being gone. But I'm like, you know what? If you fine, leave a little note and say, hey, Adam, this is Adam, came by, you're good to go. This, put that sticker on there, that little thing. And that person's like, oh, Adam came by, he fixed it. So you're just not this mysterious person that they never see. Just leave a little note there. And so it became like kind of common nature for my team to just have a stack of Post-it notes. And then it turned to who had the cutest Post-it notes. Yes, it was most of the guys, but then they all was like, oh, well, mine's pretty cool. Mine was like an X-wing. Mine looks like this. Mine, like, whatever. But it became something that they did. But that's just me. I don't know. What do you think is the most important skill that someone should have?
I think communication is a big one. I think part of a larger discussion would be customer service. And that is, we in tech departments get a lot of calls from people that are very stressed out because something's happening to them. And I think it's sometimes we get frustrated at those people not really having that empathetic lens of like, all right, let's see what they're going through. Only because like every time the phone rings, it's usually a problem in the tech services department. So how do we have to have that empathetic lens of saying, all right, they're going through something, they're having a problem as well. And so for me, whenever I was hiring folks for these roles, I would always say, like, how do you interface with people? Like, and I like the idea of the notes, like you're saying, Adam, even if it's just hey, I'm not going to be able to get to this, but I want to let you, not right now, but I'm going to let you know that I'm working on it, just to give them an update every so often, like sending a little note. I think that quells so much of the anxiety of teachers versus I sent them a message and I put in a ticket and I haven't heard anything back in 3 days. And so they don't even know if it worked or if it went through or whatever. So I think that's an important part of it, but enough of what you and I think, Adam, because I want to invite up on the show here a director of user support. That is a title that I've never heard. And we have lots of questions, Nikki, for you. Nikki Schafer, she's at Omaha Public Schools. She's also on the NETA board there in Nebraska. Welcome to the podcast, Nikki.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Director of user support. First of all, before we get into that job, tell us what's your thought on that opening question? What is, in your mind, like kind of a big and important trait for someone in the tech services department?
Well, I love what you guys both said about communication and that customer support. I really think that Adam, you briefly touched on it. Problem solving is such a huge skill, and the ability to stick with it, that rigor that comes with the confidence that I may not know what this issue is yet or how to solve it, but I'm going to find out. So one of the things that we ask as we're hiring is, what do you do if you don't know how to do something, or if you don't know something? And we're really listening to see, do you put in the work behind the scenes to figure out how to solve it and how to get to helping that teacher be successful again? Or are you going to pass it off to somebody else and expect them to fix it? So really that stick-to-itness that a tech person needs and often has intrinsically to just solve that problem for the teacher and make sure that they're back up and learning as quick as possible.
Yeah, which is funny. I kid you not, I had an interview cycle, and someone was going through the interview. We asked him a question, he said, okay, I don't know the answer. Give me one moment. He pulls his phone out. He starts Googling the answer, and we're all quiet just sitting there watching him. And then he processes it, and then he answers the question. And then I had someone else that was on the panel. They're like, okay, that guy's eliminated. I'm like, no, why? Literally, he did not know. He asked for a moment, found the answer, and then he didn't just read it verbatim. In that couple of moments he read over it, he was able to kind of summarize and kind of go through. I was like, no, that's who you want to hire. Yep. That person right there.
Yep. The person who's going to tell you they don't know and then go find it for you.
Yeah. Keep it 100.
Yeah, and it's weird that we do that. I mean, I think we do this as adults in general, but I think teachers sometimes fall prey to this. But definitely in the tech services side of things, there's this need to feel like we have to have all the answers or know all the answers. And I think maybe ego starts to play a role in it too. It's like, well, I'm seen as this person that can fix everything, therefore I must. And I think actually the opposite is true. When you start to do what you're just saying there, Nikki, like saying like, yeah, I don't know the answer to that, but I'm going to go find out for you. I think that's also kind of, it's a little disarming too for the teacher. Like, okay, so you're not the expert at everything, but also you're going to help me. So I think it actually kind of helps bridge those relationships better than like, no, it's the DHT to the HDMI DHCP server. And we have to make sure that our VLAN is set up with a great ROI. Otherwise we're not. And I've had people, I'm not making any of this up. There's people, a district I just worked with last year. This is what the tech director would do. He would send 1-sentence responses with all these coded words. And then the teachers would send it to me like, Carl, what does this actually mean? I'm like, he's just trying to he's trying to blow you off is what it is. That happens.
As long as they don't send an ID 10T error.
Yeah.
If you ever see that on an email, teachers, somebody got a little too
just spoiled it for everybody. Now the tech tech services around the world are mad at you, Adam, because you're not supposed to tell them that.
Hey, I didn't. I just said if you see one,
that's true.
Think about it.
I will say I had one tech who said something along the lines of, if I don't know what's going on, I'm going to say, let's learn together. Instantly hired right there with that answer.
I like that. That. That's another little turn of phrase there, but it's bringing people together. Just a little. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So you just kind of mentioned it with working with your tech. So can you tell the boys and girls out there listening, what is it that you do in your role, and what does your responsibilities kind of entail?
Yeah. So I am the director of user support, which is one of 2 departments we have in our information management systems like umbrella. So we have the user support side, and then we have the tech support side. And user support is anybody who helps our end user, our client, our staff, our students, our admin, anybody who's using our products, our district wide. And then the tech side of it has a director of tech support. And they are the ones who do kind of what you were talking about, that networking piece, the back end, the rostering, all of that, to keep things up and running that they don't necessarily always get credit for, because nobody knows why Clever works. We just know that we log in and it works. So they're the ones who are, up at night stressing about the making sure the rosters are all correct, making sure that the people are in the systems they need to be in by a certain date so that they can get access to all their curriculum resources, things like that. And then we are the ones who, once they get access to those resources, show them how to use it, troubleshoot when something goes wrong, and are the kind of boots on the ground helping in the schools to make sure that, students are learning and teachers are teaching as much as successfully as possible with their technology.
There's the boots on the ground is an important part of it. And I think the interface are you're almost like a translator, it sounds like too, in some ways, because as I mentioned earlier, the tech person has all these words and gobbledygook that teachers don't really understand. your job is to really kind of translate a little bit of what's happening on that end. So you have to know enough about it just to know. But then at the same time, it's really more about how is it actually being interfaced with on the campus level. You have a music teacher background, I discovered. So in the previous life, you were a music teacher, and now you're in this role. What, if any, things that you took away from a music teacher role, does it actually translate? I mean, I have it immediately in my head. I have an analogy, but I'm not going to say it because I don't want to steal it from you. Like, so what's something that you maybe did as a music teacher that translated in your current role?
So before I was a director, I was also an instructional technology coach. So a lot of the strategies I used in my classroom, I actually brought with me as I was coaching. So things like building somebody up. You'd be surprised how many kids say, I just can't sing or I just can't dance. And I hear the same thing from teachers now with, I just don't do technology. And so bringing those strategies over to say like, hey, I totally get it. This is something that makes you uncomfortable, but I'm right here next to you. Let's try it together. Do you want to try it by yourself? Do you want to try it with me first? Utilizing those strategies to kind of convince kids that, yes, you can sing, and teachers, yes, you can use technology. Let's find one thing you can be successful at and build on that. And then beyond that, it's all pattern recognition. And so that musical mind really helps when it comes to technology and seeing like, okay, this group belongs here. This group belongs here. They connect this way. I need to make sure that I'm facilitating that connection as much as possible. And just really thinking about that big picture ensemble piece, as well as each individual and how they contribute to that.
That was a lot deeper than I was ever going to go. Like, I was honestly thinking, oh, it's like an orchestra person. It's just trying to conduct all this stuff all the time. No, you went next level with detecting patterns using a musical mind, which I think is just a great phrase right there. That's the title of her book, folks. It's coming out in fall of 2024.
I got to get the dissertation done first.
Oh, talk to Adam about that. Yeah.
It's easier on this side once you're done with it.
All right. I'll keep letting you tell me that.
So sticking with this music theme right now, I see you're sitting in the office right now, so I'm gonna ask you this: what song or lyric best represents your current reality?
Okay, so you have to realize I'm a musical theater nut, so I absolutely love Broadway, any kind of people singing on stage. So I'm thinking Les Mis, One Day More, because if we can just make it through this day, then we can make it through the next day, then we can make it through the next day. So just trying to focus on getting things done each day at a time as they come.
I love it. I got to spring it on you, Adam, since we asked her and we've never done this on the show. Now I have to think of mine.
Great. No. Don't try to swim it to me first. Since you got to do yours first.
I can't because I have two songs stuck in my head right now, and one's Who Let the Dogs Out, the other one's Dominic the Donkey. So I can't actually think of a song, and I'm wearing straight out of worksheets on my shirt. So, I mean, my brain, I'm gonna have to process for a minute. We did Nikki do an episode. We wrapped up last season doing. We did like a song. It was like the greatest hits of tech directors, and it was like
tech director playlist. Yeah,
tech director playlist, and it was songs that we just thought had to do, like Tub Thumping's whatchamacallit, Chumbawamba.
Get knocked down.
Yeah, but I get up again. Yeah. And then I think we had Milli Vanilli's Whenever the Network Goes Down, Blame It on the Rain. Blame it on the rain. I didn't know that was going to come out of this voice.
Yeah,
go ahead.
But you know what? That's a couple of times we got you to sing, though. We'll take that.
We'll take that. I'm having a musical moment. I'm going to learn this new Dominic the Donkey song, and then I'll have it down.
Tell your family I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'll just apologize in advance. It's going to be on loop. I'm going to leave it on loop on Alexa, and then I'm going to leave the house where they can't turn it off.
You know what? One song, and I'm just going to, it's not necessarily a song right now, but I'm going to use it when we forgot we should have put on the playlist. That Cardi B song to talk about the network. When it's up, then it's up.
Down. Oh, is that what it's about? I didn't know what that song was about. Thank you. We'll add that to the show notes, folks.
There we go.
Well, one thing, Nikki, that we have been talking about a lot on the podcast, besides random Cardi B songs and just kind of
no. Hard stop. You didn't say a song. You didn't
Me?
say a song. No, you
Oh
didn't say any
man.
song. Yeah, at least I just like threw out a song there. See, you see what see, listeners. You see what Carl tried to do.
Uh-huh.
That's a master host right there, where he just kind of shifted to the next question without even going into his answer.
I got it.
And
Okay, I got it.
Nikki caught that too. I know she caught that.
Hey, no, no, okay, I got it. I got it. And only because I just watched the Cypress Hill documentary, and it's not what y'all are thinking, but it's insane in the brain. And I think there are times in my life when I look at the, looking right now at 1, 2, 3, 4, 17, 28 tabs open on my monitor right now.
That's it.
That's, I know I'm underachieving today. Well, it's only 1:20 when we're recording this. My time.
And one browser window.
Yeah.
Now the other browser windows.
Several profiles. But I think that in my head is like, what you trying to get crazy with, local? That song that's insane in the brain is definitely in my head. But it was a great documentary too, by the way. So you check it out if you're interested in such things. So now that I've answered the question, let's change to our hot button season 7 topic du jour: the A, the I, the artificial intelligence. Nikki, just I'm not gonna lead you with anything. I just want to get what's your just thoughts out of your head. We'll start generative AI in general. Your thoughts, schools, Omaha. What are you feeling?
I'm so excited for it. I think that it's going to kind of not, I think the word revolutionize gets used too much, but it's definitely going to change how teachers can teach because they can come up with resources that fast. And so I'm excited for our teachers. I'm excited for our students because I think this generative AI is going to allow them opportunities that they may not otherwise have. You can have a kiddo, you can generate a 5-paragraph essay and have a kiddo edit it, as opposed to having to use somebody else in the class's essay. And now that kiddo's, like, oh man, you misspelled because again, ha ha ha. I love the idea of using it for classroom growth, using it for individual student growth, and making teachers' lives easier.
So I'm going to flip it and ask you, like, how have you been like, utilizing AI in your space to do some things?
So I communicate a lot with principals. Like we have a newsletter that gets sent out to all of our principals. So I'll pop that into one of my AI generators, and I'll have it send, write me a blurb about One-to-One Plus, our help desk, and off it goes. Or I will say, write me an article about the dangers of, sharing your password. Off it goes. So that's been really useful with communication piece. And I really like that there are so many different tools now that I can use. I can't remember the one I should probably look at my tabs and see which window I've got it.
Too many tabs.
Too many tabs, too many windows. But there's one that will not only tell you, get you the lesson plan. It will literally, you put a topic in and it will create the lesson plan for you, but it will also get you the sources for where the information from the lesson plan came from, as opposed to like a Chat GPT where they're pulling, law, like they're basing a law opinion on cases that never actually happened.
Right. Mm-hmm. Hallucinating those. Yeah, I like that. I think Bard does that. I think Bard does have some of the they do some citations too at the bottom now, but I know ChatGPT never does on their things. I just got an infographic sent to me, and I'll add this to the notes too. That was why do you want to use an AI chatbot? And it's a student, like it's a yes/no thing. It's kind of cool. It's like, to help me get started on assignment, yes. To help me improve what I've already done, yes. To help me explain an idea in simpler terms or a different way, yes. But then the no answers are like, to fully complete an assignment for me, no. To help with my research and find facts, quotes, and resources, it's actually not great for that because they hallucinate too much. So yeah, I think that kind of conversation and language, and also talking about what hallucinations look like in AI and biases. These are all new terms. Again, we get to introduce some fun new terms to our educational folks that are already overloaded with them.
And on a personal note, I have ADHD and so does my daughter. And so the executive functioning that AI allows us to do, like just getting started, a lot of times executive functioning, it's just a matter of get started. And it gives you a prompt, or it gives you that thing to start working from. So that's super helpful too for those kiddos who find themselves in situations like that, where I just need to get something on the paper and then I can go from there.
Kids and adults that need help with that.
You mentioned even getting started, but even if you're on the way and you get stuck, because I've used it in the past where I just adjunct professor for a course. And one of the courses, I had the directions and everything kind of written out. And I threw it into Chat GPT, and I asked it to rewrite these directions for someone who had just been introduced to the topic. And so some of the additional language that it added in there was stuff that I didn't even think of, that may be something that the reader got. But, oftentimes when you have adult learners, they are sometimes hesitant to ask the question, because they're like, if you're saying it, then I'm supposed to know it. And it may be a situation where I thought you knew what I was talking about, but you didn't know what I was talking about. So having that AI tool to kind of go through and say, oh, here's something, another step that you may want to add in here, or some additional detail to your directions, could make the difference between someone actually doing exactly what you want, or giving something close to, not quite in the ballpark of what you need them to do.
Well, and along the same lines, teachers, if you don't have an automatic switch for like comprehension levels, they can plug an article into ChatGPT, say, rewrite this as if I was a third grader. Boom, it's done. So that's another piece that would be super helpful for teachers.
There's this weird feeling too I get, that I've just had recently, where and Adam and I have a friend who recently got married, and one of the we also know the best man really well, and he used Chat GPT to help write his best man speech. And I was sharing this with some teachers, and I got a lot of this like it was almost like people were like they felt there's like a guilt, and I don't know what that is. And I've felt it too. I don't know if I've ever said this on the podcast yet, Adam, but my dad passed away in April, and I used it to help me. I had to do the eulogy, and I was stuck, like you were just saying, Nikki. Like, I was staring at a blank screen. I was like, I don't even know. I mean, I'm so emotionally wiped at this point. I don't even know where to start. And so I just started plugging in some traits about him as a father and him as a person, and his life that he lived. And it gave me just the outline to get me started. And I don't know why, but I feel guilty sharing that I use that as a tool, but then of course I filled in stories from the heart, but I needed that. I could not. I sat there for hours just going, I don't even know when to start. And I was kind of avoiding it admittedly, because I was grieving too. But to me, it was like, okay, it got me going. And that's what I needed. I maybe used 20% of the language that was in it at the end, but it's weird. Why do there's like a psychological part of this too, that maybe because it's so new, I don't know.
Well, and I think it makes me wonder if people, felt guilty about using a calculator when it first came out. And then I think it's
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, or Google, exactly. And I think it, a lot of times, for me at least, we had that anti-plagiarism hammered into our heads for so long in school and in college, that it's like anything that makes writing or reading easier in this way is automatically bad, because you're plagiarizing somebody else's work. You're taking Spark Notes and plugging it in or something like that. And I think we've all just kind of been trained to easy is bad when it comes to writing, and that's not the case.
Yeah, because that's the thing. We always assume, because we teach it in school, but we always assume that everybody can write. Because you had to learn the parts of a sentence, and how to a paragraph, introductory sentence. We all get it, but you assume every adult knows how to write. Let's just say, how many parents could utilize a tool like ChatGPT, Bard, or whatever the case may be, to communicate now with their teacher, their child's teacher? Because I want to say something, but I don't want to write, because now you're going to judge me and think that I don't know how to write, or I'm not intelligent because I just struggle at writing. But I want to be able to advocate for my child. So just being able to take your thoughts, throw it into a generative AI component, and have it now generate a cohesive paragraph or two to send to your staff. Now you're empowering a group of people who struggle with that. And we just assume everybody can write, but that may not be the case.
Well, and Omaha is the most diverse school district in Nebraska, and so we have over 100 languages spoken in our district. And so the ability for somebody to not need to call a translator and say like, hey, I really need help, because a lot of the translations that come from like even Google Translate, they don't quite catch the meaning of, like colloquialisms and that kind of thing. So we've had much better luck with like a generative AI putting it in there and saying, can you please translate this into Kurdish, or can you please translate this? And then having our translators check it over, as opposed to having to have them create it.
Which will save you time, which will save you money. It's efficient. Yeah. And I think that seems to be the steady beats that we picked up this season, Adam, is like, the AI is going to help us with that. There's the time, the efficiency. I keep hearing that over and over again. Which leads us to what we like to. What's our final question, Adam? I'll go ahead and set you up for this because this is what we like to ask our guests on every show when it talks about time and efficiency and life and all this stuff kind of flying around all the time. Go ahead, Adam.
Yeah. So with all that being said, what is it that Nikki does to keep herself undisrupted in this space where things are constantly coming at you that could disrupt you? What do you do to stay undisrupted?
I get in my red mom van and I blast that music and I sing my little heart out.
One more day.
What are you singing? Yeah, one day more. One day more.
Yep.
One day more. One more day. Yeah. One day more.
Right now, Sarah Barry Ellis and I are having a little bit of a moment, so we're hanging out on the reg.
Nice. Isn't it funny, that connection with music? And I think that's something that all three of us we all have different loves of music in different ways, but I think that's a human element that, well, I mean, we didn't get into this with the AI stuff, but that's going to be an interesting side note too about what's happening with music and artists.
AI music.
The weekend are coming up with their own songs that aren't really them. That's a whole nother topic for another show. But I do like that is such a calming element. It is for me in my life. I know it is. And Nikki, I appreciate you sharing that because I think that is something that a lot of people that are listening out there probably can attest to. There are days when you just have to turn on a certain type of genre of song to get you through the next moment, whether it's heavy metal, whether it's laid back jazz. It's funny how it sets your attitude.
If you hear me blasting Disturbed, just walk away.
Yes, there we go. Let the bodies hit the floor. No, that's not Disturbed.
No.
Well, Nikki, where can people find out more about you and the great work you're doing?
So I'm going to direct everybody to our NEDA. We have this wonderful association in Nebraska called the Nebraska Educator Technology Association, and they are doing some fabulous work both with our conference and in between. And then ops.org is our Omaha Public Schools website. It's a phenomenal resource for anything in the community that you could need. We partner with health clinics, we partner with food banks, anything and everything that they could need.
Awesome.
Now, Carl, have you made it to NEDA yet?
No, I haven't. And we should have the Undisrupted live podcast right at NEDA one of these years.
Yeah.
No pressure at all, Nikki.
Hey, let's make it happen.
That is funny because that's what my sister's name, and it's true, is Anita, and so I always just call her Nita. But Anita Hooker, that's a whole nother story for another day and another podcast. You just get there. She doesn't listen to this, so it's okay. My mom does, though. And so do a few thousand other listeners, which we want to thank for joining us today on the show. Nikki, thank you so much for being a part of this and everything that you do in education. We thank you for being a part of the Undisrupted podcast today. And yep, of course. And for our listeners and subscribers out there, be sure to give us a review, give us a like, follow us, find us on the Instas. Oh, we're not on Instagram, but we got to do that at some point. We are on YouTube, though. And if you want to check out the video version of this podcast, which I've been saying lately, check it out because there are some different little things you miss sometimes that you don't always hear in the audio versions. But of course, follow us on all.
We're on X too. We're on X too, right?
We are on X. Yeah, X gonna give it to you. This has been the Undisrupted podcast brought to you by All for Ed. He's Adam, and you can follow him at AskAdam3.
And he's Carl, and you can follow him at Mr. Hooker. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, we are better together.
And we are better
undisrupted.